Today I want to share with you some suggestions if you're finding that your anxiety levels are rising as a result of the coronavirus situation that we're in. Apologies for the gravelly voice. I've got a cold, and it is just a cold. It's been a runny nose, it's a foggy head, nothing more. Just to make it more interesting, I had a tooth taken out yesterday that was infected, so I'm a bit groggy from the antibiotics and the anaesthetic for that. So apologies for not quite sounding this, the way I normally do. Anyway, back to the coronavirus situation, which is serious. Now, I say situation rather than crisis intentionally. I know the media are calling it a crisis, and it is a crisis on a worldwide scale. But I am choosing to call it a situation because at the moment it's not affecting me directly in terms of my health or the health of my loved ones. It's affecting the way we're living, but it's not affecting our health. So, of course, that may change in due course, but for me, the word situation, calling it a situation, feels like something that I can actually manage and influence. So I don't get quite so stressed and anxious. Crisis is a word that makes me feel panicky and out of control, which would lead me to procrastinate and shut down. Okay, so please don't underestimate how the language we use at this time can significantly affect the way we feel. The media know this. That's why the media are using extreme anxiety-inducing terminology. Okay, so a lot of my clients and members already struggle with anxiety and depression as a result of their clutter. Perfectly normal. Okay, so if that's you, perfectly normal. The current situation is exacerbating what is already a difficult situation for many who have a clutter challenge. My husband and I have already had to have a conversation with my mother-in-law about self-isolating. She's 82, fiercely independent. She almost admitted in an argument on the phone with my husband yesterday that she suffers from loneliness. She was trying to justify not self-isolating by saying things like, but I like to go out where there are things going on. She said, I don't like to be alone at home. Well, we knew that anyway. She always has the TV or the radio on in the background. I think she doesn't want to admit that she's scared of being alone as a result of having to self-isolate. And I completely get that. We were considering my husband moving in with her, offering to move in with her, but they would kill each other. And my husband is self-employed, so it's actually not a practical option. But she does have a mild mental health issue already, and actually self-isolating for her could just make the situation 10 times worse. So I understand why she wants to avoid self-isolating as long as possible, but she's not quite understanding that they're not just risks to herself, she could be a risk to other people as well. We suspect that we're experiencing that thing where there are different opinions from others in the family who are talking to her as well. And I'm sure that we as a family will not be unique in this situation. As of today, as I record this, here in the UK, it's just an advisory for people over the age of 70 to self-isolate. Naturally, my 82-year-old mother-in-law, who considers herself fit and healthy, doesn't think this applies to her. On the other hand, my parents, who are 76, are choosing to take the advice. And all I can say is good luck to my dad on being self-isolated with my mother for possibly months on end. And yes, for those of you who know me, you'll know that I'm estranged from my parents. So you might be thinking, why are you talking about your parents? How do you know? Well, yesterday I just sent them an email just to make sure that they were taking the government advice, you know, and saying it's just not worth taking the risk. I may not want them to be part of my life, but I'm not that heartless that I don't want them to be safe and well. And again, these are extraordinary times. So, you know, showing concern, you know, I'm not that heartless. Unfortunately, my mother seems to think that it's more than me just showing a concern. And I'm sure I'm going to have to manage that situation carefully over the coming days and weeks, but I'll worry about that as the situation develops. Anyway, back to the self-isolation issues and those of us who have a clutter challenge. Now, since I've been helping hoarders and clutterholics since 2001, I know people with a clutter challenge tend to fall into one of two categories. Either we're very social animals and go out of our homes a lot so that we can get away from our clutter, or we tend to stay in more than most because we feel that shame, or we think we should stay at home and work on our clutter, and we don't deserve to go out until our clutter is cleared. So we only venture out occasionally for essentials or just to get a break. Self-isolation at the moment is forcing us to have to stay indoors with our clutter. We have no choice. We're being forced to confront our clutter challenge. Now, it can be uncomfortable, especially if we don't want to start dealing with our clutter and we're not ready to start our clutter clearing journey. And I'm not suggesting that you should start your clutter clearing journey if you're not ready. But either way, it can negatively affect our mental well-being. For those of us who go out of our homes to get away from our clutter, it could lead to increased feelings of claustrophobia, having to stay in with it all, overwhelm, helplessness, hopelessness, heightened anxiety and depression. All of the things that we feel about our clutter normally, but are magnified because we can't get away from it. Excuse me. It's not coronavirus, it's cold. For those of us who tend to isolate ourselves away in our homes anyway, just knowing that we don't have the choice to go out and get away from it can in itself lead to increased feelings of anxiety and depression. It's not that we want to go out more, just knowing it's no longer an option. For most of my clients and members, they're not good at asking for help, especially when it comes to their clutter challenge. Any of this sounding familiar? Now, the reality is that we're all going to have to adjust to a new normal over the coming weeks and months. And the sooner we start to make small, manageable adjustments, the more we can manage any sense of overwhelm, loneliness, anxiety that we may have, and make sure that it doesn't grow like mushrooms, like our clutter. So, I want to share with you a couple of suggestions if you think you could or are experiencing more anxiety about your clutter as a result of this coronavirus situation. Okay, so number one, stockpiling. Stop it. Stockpile. Stop it. Okay, it is not helpful, especially when you don't really need it. I mean, I went to the supermarket this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning to get toilet rolls. Not because I'm stockpiling them like much of the world is, but because we genuinely needed toilet rolls. I know a pack of 9 is going to last us a month. I don't need 200 toilet rolls. I don't need to be buying them every day. So please be reasonable and only get what you need. Coronavirus doesn't cause diarrhea. Suppliers have said that they can meet demand. There's no reason to think that there won't be toilet roll on the shelves in a month or 2 months' time. Okay? Be realistic. Medication. Now, if you take medication for depression or anxiety, call your pharmacist or your GP now and check that supplies are unaffected and clarify how you will get a repeat prescription when your current supply runs out. Because if you are self-isolated, you won't be able to go to the pharmacist to get them. So find out if they offer a delivery service. If not, ask them what organisations in your area can arrange to collect and deliver medication for you. They'll already have thought of all of this. I'm going to be doing this for my, bless her, mother-in-law, because she's not qualifying yet for free home delivery of medication. Okay, so let's just know the situation so we don't panic. Number 3, routine. as far as possible, stick to your normal routine and habits, okay? But maybe slightly tweak them, adjust them. So, if you normally get up and go to work and leave your home, but instead you're going to be working from home, still get up at the same time. Still get dressed for work, even if you're going to go and work at the kitchen table. How you dress really subtly impacts how you behave and affects your voice. And that's particularly relevant if you're working at home. Dress in your PJs and you'll find that your voice isn't quite as professional and confident as it would be if you wore your normal workwear. Okay? Generally it's much more relaxed. If you don't believe me, try it. Record your voice when you're wearing your non-work clothes and your work clothes. There is a reason why people dress differently at work and at weekends or time off. Okay? So still stay with those routines. The routine will give your mind and body a sense of normality. And that sense of normality and routine helps reduce our stress levels. Okay? It's been shown, your hormones in your blood system. But don't go watching the news 24/7 as a new routine. That's only going to drag you down mentally into depression and anxiety faster than a rat up a drain pipe. I know some people have decided to use their self-isolation time to focus on doing their clutter clearing journey, to start their journey, because it provides them the routine of something to do and something positive to do every day. Watching and following the video, and that's replacing their routine perhaps of going out every day like they might have done. And of course it's also something positive to focus on, which will help your mind be in a better place. So routine is going to be important during the coming days, weeks and months. The fourth thing is what I call a success journal. Success journal. A-L, or diary. Diary. Okay, so here's an example here. So, the news is filled with doom and gloom. Like I say, it's a crisis. A success journal or diary will help you focus on and notice the positives each day. So, aiming to capture 10 things each day to put in your journal or diary will help your brain focus on the positive things going on in your life rather than the negative things that are going on in the world. So, for example, right here, right now, I can think of some. I've got frogs in my pond, and I've got loads of frog spawn. And that's great. Frogs aren't affected by coronavirus. Nature is carrying on. So that's one. 2, there's blossom coming in on my trees and my plants in the garden, which means I know I'm going to get apples and pears and raspberries in the summer. That's something positive to look forward to. That's not going to be affected by coronavirus. It's a sunny day. Beautiful sunny day. Positive. Another positive might be if you spend an hour watching your clutter clearing videos if you're on your journey. That is a very positive. The more you focus on the positives, the less the coronavirus will feel like it's taking over your life. It will still be there. It will not go away. But we will have focused on positives. However small they may seem, they may be significant. 5. Affirmations. Affirmations. You may be familiar with these. Now, I find affirmations really useful. I've got mine recorded onto my mobile cell phone, and I listen to them when I do my walking. Now, as I've had to stop doing my daily walking, I've still made sure I make time to listen to my affirmations every day to get me into the right frame of mind before I start my day, to make sure that I'm calm, I'm focused, I'm positive. So, if you suffer from anxiety or depression, consider recording or reading some positive affirmations that you can listen to at the beginning of each day to get you into a positive place. And I've put below this video a link to some affirmations that you might want to try. Okay, so hopefully that will help. Okay, number 6, manage your stress. Manage stress. Now, Because I've stopped going to the gym at the moment, that's a huge part of my routine, and makes sure that I get into a good, positive mental place. So I'm having to turn to other ways to manage my stress and my sense of overwhelm and negativity. Now, as you may know, I do something called TRE, Trauma Release Exercise. And the great thing with this is that you can do it at home. So, although I'm not going to the gym, I'm going to do more TRE at home. It's a great way to relieve stress from your mind and your body without the need to talk. You don't need to understand what's going through your mind. And it's not vigorous exercise. All it involves are some stretches and then 30 minutes lying on the floor with your legs in the cervical smear position. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. It takes about an hour to do a session from start to finish. And I do a session once a week. But now, because I can't go to the gym, I'm going to probably do 2 or 3 sessions a week. I'm going to make sure my husband does them with me as well. He hasn't done them for a while. Now, I've put a link below this video to an online video if you want to give it a try. Okay? Now, whether it is TRE, maybe your thing is yoga, reading, watching your favourite film, playing with your pet, find a way to manage your stress on a regular basis, part of your routine, over the coming days and weeks and months, so that you don't bottle it up, because that's not going to do you any good. And the final thing that I wanted to suggest is talk and share. Talk and share. S-H-A-R-E. Sorry, handwriting terrible as always. Lots of organisations are having to go online and on the telephone to support people at this time of uncertainty, when normally it would be face-to-face. We've done this already with clutter clearing. Group gatherings have ended a couple of weeks ago. Now, I know here in the UK, for example, Age Concern, who are supporting the over 70s, who are needing to self-isolate themselves, are offering telephone calls to people who feel lonely and isolated. Now, if you're on your clutter clearing journey, then hopefully you've made contact with others who are on their journey and you've found a clutter buddy. If you don't know what that is, there's a video of that in week 1. Now, if you didn't do that and you're past week 1, go back, watch the video and just find out how to say hi to someone so that you can share your journey together. Talk to them about how you're feeling. I bet you that they're having similar experiences at the moment. And knowing you're not alone can really help at these times. I've let my friends and family know that I'm here to talk to if they want to. They can moan, they can share, they can offload. I haven't necessarily got answers or solutions. I know I haven't. No one has. But just talking and sharing can help. It doesn't matter if you talk on the telephone, via Skype, via email, via community Facebook groups. Just make sure you don't bottle up your feelings, because I promise you, you're not alone in what you're experiencing and how you're feeling. Even if you're not self-isolating yet, starting to put some coping strategies in place now so that you're familiar and comfortable with them, so that when you do eventually get told you have to self-isolate, it means that the transition will be less of a shock to our mental and physical health, less traumatic. I know many clutterholics and hoarders who self-isolate will struggle, okay? So, over the next few days, I'm going to look at ways that I can help support you and how we can support one another, irrespective of whether or not you're on your clutter clearing journey. So this situation is pushing me to learn some new technology that I've had on my to-do list for a while, to be honest, but not quite got round to. Suddenly they've moved up the top of the priority list of things to do. So, for example, I'm going to look at things like creating a Facebook community, so that clutterholics and hoarders can join that and share. Don't know how to do that yet. I'll find out. I'm going to find out how to do a Facebook live event. Terrifies the thought of me, but I'm sure I'll be able to do it. I'm going to create a journey option that allows a weekly accountability calls so that I can give you the extra support, advice and contact if you want to start your clutter clearing journey while you're self-isolating. I'm sure I'll come up with other things as well. If there's anything you think of, please let me know in the comment box below what I can do to help this self-isolation phase. Bottom line is, we're not in charge of the situation. No one knows how this is going to play out over the next few weeks and months. The only thing we do know is that life as we know it is going to change, and change is scary. So we need to find ways to adapt and cope with that change without it seriously affecting our mental health. And doing a little bit at a time is the way to go. The most important thing is that we do and try something to minimize the potential negative impact on our mental health. Okay? The things I've suggested might help. They might not. But guess what? Until you try them, you don't know. Don't dismiss them out of hand just because you think, oh, that's a little bit of a weird one. I strongly recommend that you pick one of the things I've suggested, give it a go for a week, give it a fair chance, and let me know in the comment box below how you got on. We'll get through this. And who knows, you might even have less clutter by the time you come out of self-isolation than when you started. Okay, that would be an incredible positive to come from an extremely negative situation. Okay, I tried and I do all of these. In fact, apart from medication, I don't take medication. I'm off the antibiotics now because of the tooth. I don't stockpile, I don't do medication, but the routine, the success, the affirmations, the managing stress, the talking and sharing, I do all of those things, okay? So I'm suggesting what I actually practice myself. We will get through this, okay? And we'll get through this by supporting one another, even if we are having to self-isolate. Stay safe, stay well. Please take the advice. Please do not be like my mother-in-law and think that the advice doesn't apply to you. This is not the same as wartime. In wartime, we could get the support and the interaction we needed by going down to the local village hall or the community centre, going to wartime dances, meeting up with people face to face. This is very different. The fact that we can't do face to face in the same room means that this is a shift. So we're just going to have to find other ways of managing our own stress, our own mental health, and find other ways of connecting. So I'm going to definitely work on that over the next few days. I shall be in touch soon as I discover things that we can do. In the meantime, please do try. What's the worst that could happen? Not the stockpiling, but the other things. The medication, that's a phone call. Whereas the other things are things that we can do for ourselves. All right, I shall stop talking now. Time, I think, for me to go and do a TRE session, and I shall be in touch again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.